Find the Juice is back, and today we start our NHL off-season review. And we're going to get started with the New York Islanders. So let's lock in. And the Islanders off-season actually started during last season's trade deadline. And after I talk to you about the trade deadline, you'll see why. At the NHL trade deadline in the 24-25 season, the Islanders acquired Callum Ritchie, a first round selection in 2026 or 2027, a third round pick in 2028, and Oliver Kylington. In exchange, they sent Brock Nelson and William DeFore to the Colorado Avalanche. Brock Nelson is still a good center. He shot 19.4% in just 19 games with the Avalanche. But he's going to be 34 years old starting next season, so the Islanders made one hell of a flip off of him. The first round selection should net them a late first round pick that they can use like they did in the last draft and trade up to get more star players. William DeFore is an AHL player, so we ain't going to talk about him today. So let's break down Callum Ritchie, who the Islanders got in return from Colorado. Callum Ritchie is a young center prospect who's 20 years old and played 7 games in the NHL last year. He scored 1 goal on 11 shots, shooting 9.1%. He needs to work on his face-offs because he only won 42.9%, where the NHL average is 50% for center. We have to remind ourselves, though, that he is only 20 years old, and what happens next season will be the most indicative of what to expect from Ritchie in the future. At the very least, he will mature into a good third or fourth line center that can grow with the rest of the Islanders' young talent, which we will get to shortly. The other player in that trade, Oliver Kylington, was immediately flipped to Anaheim for future consideration. Also, during the deadline, the Islanders moved on from Dennis Cholowski, a bottom line defender, as they traded him to the New Jersey Devils for Adam Beckman. Cholowski is 27 years old and only played 33 games last season for the Islanders. He only picked up 10 points, which isn't terrible for someone who isn't playing half the games due to being placed in the AHL a lot. Adam Beckman, who the Islanders received from New Jersey, is a 24-year-old left wing. He's played 23 career games and picked up 3 assists. So, not sure if he's better than the defenseman who is putting up more goals and assists per game. But again, 24 is young and he could mature into a nice bottom line wing. So, before we talk about what happened during the NHL draft for the Islanders, we got to talk about what happened before the draft, because the move they made before the draft impacted almost all of night 1 of the NHL draft. So the Islanders went ahead and traded 25-year-old Noah Dobson to the Montreal Canadiens for forward Emil Heineman and 2 first-round picks, which were picked 16 and 17 in the 2025 NHL draft. Noah Dobson is a great defenseman in the NHL. However, he took a massive step back last year in scoring and defense. Less hits per game, less blocks, and way more giveaways. 23-24, he picked up 70 points, 10 of those being goals. In 24-25, he only picked up 39 points. On top of all that, he had below average hits, average blocks, and above average giveaways, which is basically turnovers if you're an NBA fan getting into hockey, compared to every other defenseman that played 30 or more games last season. He was essentially worse than any middle of the road defenseman last year. Before we get to what the Islanders did with those 16 and 17 picks, let's talk about Emil Heineman, the player they got in the trade. So Emil Heineman is an exciting young player. He was drafted in the 2020 draft in the second round, 43rd overall. Last year in Montreal, he played 62 games and picked up 10 goals and 8 assists. That's not the exciting part, though. It's his shot selection. He's made 15.6% of shots he took last year. Not bad for a 23-year-old second rounder. Now, we aren't saying he's the next Kucherov, but he definitely has potential. Now, since the rest of this trade is first round picks, let's go ahead and jump into the Islanders draft. Now, besides the 16th and 17th pick, the Islanders also had the first overall pick, where they, of course, selected Matthew Schaefer. Quickly, a couple things for the combine, as his OHL record isn't a reliable source of his skill after breaking his left clavicle at the end of December. He was fourth in peak power output in the combine, which is a Wingate test. It's a 30-second bike test to test the amount of energy they can put out. This translates to hockey because players need to be fast at the drop of a hat for breakaways or scoring opportunities. Next, he was 11th in the left-hand grip. Since he's a left-handed shooter, this tells us he's already strong with his shooting hand, and he also has more time to put on more muscle and make his shot even stronger. According to scout Kareem El-Shefi, he's blessed with elite skating ability that allows him to roam the ice without getting caught behind the play. That was evident both on the rush and in the offensive zone, where he's comfortably sneaked down low before seamlessly returning to position. Schaefer is going to mature into a great defensive and offensive defenseman. Between his skating ability, shooting power, and ability to switch between offense and defense seamlessly, is going to make him a player to keep your eye on over the next few years, and honestly, a fit replacement for the regressing Dobson. Now let's finally get into what the New York Islanders wanted to do with the 16th and 17th picks and what they did do with those picks. Well, the Islanders GM Matthew Darche tried to use the 16th and 17th picks acquired from Montreal to trade up to take New York native James Hagen. However, the Shagens' dream couldn't be fulfilled. While losing out on Hagen sucks, they still got very good young players at 16 and 17. 16th overall, they've selected Victor Eklund. Eklund was a second international prospect this year. I think Victor is a good young player that can definitely develop into a decent left wing or right wing. Eklund has skill, but he lacks size at 5'11 and only 170 pounds. He's also lacking in scoring. He played 15 games but only had 1 goal and 4 assists in those 15 games. I think the Islanders are looking to develop him over time in the AHL and have him hopefully add size. He is only 18 years old, so he still has time to put on some muscle. Kayshawn Atchison was next at 17th overall. And let me tell you this is a good young pickup for the Islanders. After this draft, they got their defense locked down. Kayshawn is 6'2", 196 pounds, which will be good size for the NHL, especially if he can gain another 20 pounds. Kayshawn put up 26 goals and 33 assists in the OHL in 64 games last season. For defensemen, these are some pretty good numbers. The only thing that doesn't make sense is why he didn't go earlier in this draft. And finally, the Islanders at pick 42 took Daniil Provorov. While he's not someone to be a shifting force in the next couple of years, he is a decent wing prospect from Russia's MHL league. Now, to better understand what the Islanders wanted to do and did do this offseason, we got to jump back and look at how they performed last season. And to start, we're going to take a look at their top 3 scorers. First, we got Bo Horvat, who played in 81 games, scoring 28 goals and had 29 assists while only shooting 11.5%. Next, we have team captain Anders Lee, who played in all 82 games, scoring 29 goals and had 25 assists while only shooting 12.5%. And finally, we have Kyle Palmieri, who also played in all 82 games. He scored 24 goals and had 24 assists while shooting 14.2%. As you just heard, all their top shooters shot under 15%, and they were all under 60 points, but not for the lack of volume. Bo Horvat shot 243 times, which is the 14th most shot attempts in the entire NHL. Team captain Anders Lee took 233 shots, which is 28th in the entire NHL. I think they were right to pick up this young talent and move on from these veterans who aren't producing anymore. Brock Nelson's loss is going to hit the Islanders this upcoming season because he was top 5 in point scorers for the team last year. Meanwhile, Noah Dobson also sat as a top 7 point scorer for the Islanders last season. These hits to production have not been fixed or addressed in the offseason. But what did happen was the acquisition of 4 great young prospects in Schaefer, Heineman, Atchison, and Eklund, and another first round pick for next year, so they have even more trade value for next year's draft. Maybe at the deadline or draft next year, they could package some of these 30-plus-year-old players and try to get rid of them before they have no trade value or retire. Gavin McKenna is going to make a lot of waves in the NHL as he's already next year's top prospect. Last season in the WAHL, at 16 and 17 years old, he put up 44 goals and 88 assists in just 56 games. With the Islanders losing all these pieces, they may be aiming for the #1 pick, as some of the worst teams in the league last year have actually made improvements to their rosters. Looking at you, San Jose and Anaheim, McKenna would be the perfect pick to solidify the future of these Islanders. Matthew Schaefer and Gavin McKenna both on the Islanders. Could they be the third team in NHL history to make back-to-back first overall picks in the draft? We'll see, but they do have a good chance with their current roster. A player I do believe they're trying to build around, though, is 24-year-old Simon Holmstrom, who's not been putting up the numbers to back them building around him. He is 24 years old and has room to grow, though. He wasn't playing first-line minutes all of last season, but managed to put up 20 goals and 25 assists in 75 games. While that doesn't sound impressive, remember the top scorer had 29 goals and only 25 assists. The most impressive thing, though, is he shot 20.8% on 96 shots. This shows he's comfortable scoring when he has an opportunity, but also comfortable recognizing where he needs to pass and create other scoring opportunities out of that. The Islanders just need to pick up another young center like Gavin McKenna and another young wing. I would like to see them build up and commit to their defensive defensemen, as most of their young defense is scoring focused right now. They have picked up so much young talent this season, they are going to be set for the future. While it may be a few years before the vision takes form, nobody hands you players. You have to be like Matthew Darche and go get players you want. Darche has also been on the record saying this offseason that they're trying to become a competitive team now and not in 5 years. On a note of offseason trade rumors, team captain Anders Lee is on the block, which could land the Islanders another young, promising player or more first-round selections in exchange for the veteran with leadership experience. While I have my personal feelings about the readiness of the team, I'm excited to see what other moves this GM makes in order to be competitive sooner. Let me know in the comments below who the Islanders should trade for or who you think will be a perfect part of this Islanders rebuild. And stay tuned, because our next NHL video for the offseason will be breaking down one of the top 5 off seasons this year. And if you want to see your team broken down quicker, go ahead and leave who your team is in the comments below. It will bump them up the rankings so you can see what we think about them, be it the Chicago Blackhawks, the Anaheim Mighty Ducks, Dallas Stars, whoever it is. Also, stay tuned as we will be dropping our top 3 rookie running backs. And spoiler, one's not Ashton Genty. Until then, peace.